Hey, what's going on, guys? Doing a little intro for today's video, but if you're new here, my name is Pudding, and these videos are exactly what the title sounds like. Pretty much I'm me reading Reddit stories while playing Minecraft just to distract you or help you focus or whatever you want, help you sleep. And if you enjoy them, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and hope you guys enjoy the video. So I, 32 female, am married, and my husband, 34 male, and I have been together for 8 years. Things are fine, normal ups and downs, some stress lately because of work and family stuff, but nothing catastrophic. My best friend, 31 female, recently started confiding in me about her affair. She's been married for 3 years and started seeing a coworker about 6 months ago. Yikes. I told her I didn't want to be involved, but she keeps telling me details and even asked me for advice on how to sneak around. Bruh. She says I'm being judgmental because I don't want to cover for her. Last weekend she even asked if she could use my house as an excuse. Oh, hell no. I said absolutely not, yeah. I told her I'm uncomfortable and that she's putting me in an impossible position. And now she's mad. Right, she's mad. My husband says just to cut her off entirely, but part of me feels guilty. She's been my friend for over a decade, and she says I'm abandoning her when she needs, quote unquote, needs someone. Yeah, right. What should I do? Okay. I mean, like, I think it's easy to just say, agree with the husband and cut her off, but I'm trying to put myself in, like, her shoes, and, like, if my best friend for a long time, like, I'm thinking my childhood best friend, someone I've known, like, my whole life, like, I find out he's cheating on his wife and wants me to help him cover it up. Yeah, I mean, first of all, cheating is never okay, and, like, I wouldn't really want to associate with, like, someone that's, like, a cheater, but, like, first of all, I don't see, like, I probably wouldn't be my best friend if he was, like, cheating on his wife, but I'm just, like, thinking hypothetically, if I did find out he was cheating and wanted me to help him, I wouldn't cut him off just because, he's been my friend for so long, and I don't think I would cut him off, but I definitely wouldn't help him, obviously, but I'm just thinking if I would cut him off or not. Because, yeah, I've, like, known him for so long, I don't think I would cut him off, but I definitely try and, I don't know, knock some sense into him, or, like, I think if me and his wife were on, like, if we were, like, good, I don't know, acquaintances or friends or something, um, I, I wouldn't tell her, but I would, like, threaten to tell her, I think. I would kind of make my friend tell her somehow. Because, yeah, that's just not okay. Alright, just got a little bit of food. After this food cooks, I'm gonna go and try to find a place to, like, set up a camp, pretty much. But in the meantime, let's read another story. So the story is called, Am I the Asshole for Snapping on My Friend on My Birthday? So my 21st birthday just passed, and honestly, I hate my birthday. It's not about attention or anything, I just never have a good one. Every single year, something goes wrong. So this time I decided to keep it super chill, no cake, no party, no big plans. I just wanted to grab a tall boy, make a good meal, and have a peaceful day for once. Lately, life's been rough though. I lost my job from the shutdown, my car is falling apart, and I can't afford to fix it, and I've lost people close to me. It's just been a lot. I didn't want to spend my birthday alone, so I picked up my best friend, he's 19, and we ran some errands together. Everything that could go wrong kinda did. My card wouldn't work, none of the ATMs were working either, so I was driving all over just trying to handle stuff. By the time we got back to my house, I was beyond frustrated. I figured we'd cook together, but he went off to play with my roommate's cat for a while and didn't really help. When he finally asked if I needed help, I told him no, twice. I didn't want to force him if he didn't really want to. When I finished cooking, I was actually proud of it. I took a pic, made plates for him and my roommate. Before I could even take one bite, boom, the whole thing spilled. Food everywhere. I just lost it. Full breakdown mode. Tears, snot, everything. It wasn't just about the food. It was about everything catching up to me all at once. He tried to comfort me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, "It's okay, I understand." And I don't know, that just hit wrong in the moment. Like, no, you don't understand. You've never been where I'm at. I didn't mean to snap, but I said, no, you don't. And it came out harsher than I meant. I crashed out a bit more, then got up, stormed out of the room, and said happy birthday as I walked by. I slammed my bedroom door, and he went home. After that, he kind of went ghost. Didn't talk to me for days, didn't come to the party we were supposed to go to together, and when he finally texted, he said I treated him unkindly and that I deserved an apology. I did apologize. I told him I never meant to hurt him, but it also hurt me that he came over and didn't really spend time with me when that's all I wanted. It's been a week now and he still hasn't said anything. I don't know what else to do. I just wish he understood that I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just tired. Sometimes you break down after holding it together for too long. I never meant to hurt him, but I also can't help but think I screwed up. So am I the asshole? There's an edit here too that I'll read. I wasn't clear earlier. The original plan was for us to cook dinner together so I could help him learn. When I turned down his offer, I wasn't really upset that he didn't help. It is what it is. I can't force him, and I was more so annoyed. That went away when I gave him his food and he showed his gratitude. When I crashed out, I did not intentionally direct anything negative to him besides the two phrases, "You don't understand," and "Happy birthday." I acknowledged it and apologized to him not long after, but he requested another one. My roommate was also adding fuel to the fire by saying extremely insensitive things to both me and him. I didn't know what my intentions were. All I do know is that I crumbled under the pressure of the domino effect. Him and I have been friends for years, and we've both shared moments like this with one another as we both struggle with mental health. I just don't know how to make it more clear to him that I absolutely was not trying to hurt him. He got caught in the crossfire. I love him and I want to do what it takes to figure this out. Okay. So I want to say whoever's telling the story, it doesn't say if it's a boy or a girl. I'm going to assume it's a girl, but don't give me hate in the comments for that. I'm gonna say that they're in the wrong here. Okay, I'm gonna be like the friend here and say I understand where they're coming from, but I do understand where they are coming from. I think we all have had, I guess most of us have had probably experiences where we just get burnt out in life. There's a million different things going on and we don't really tell anyone about it because for several reasons. You don't want to burden someone with that, or aren't really the type to open up to people like that or be vulnerable. I know I have been trying to work on that, but in the past, and still, I struggle to kind of open myself up to friends and family, and those relationships get affected because of that, because I'm not willing to open up. And there's things that these people in my life, whether it be friends, loved ones, family, don't know about that I'm going through because I kind of refuse to open up and think that I can just do it all myself. But then there gets to a point where it could be a singular event or something happens. In this case, it was the girl's food being dropped on her birthday along with a bunch of other things, but that just kind of tipped her over, and that thing will tip you over into crashing out because of all these other things that have happened. It's not necessarily the food spilling that was what she was mad at, although I'm like curious if it was like what actually happened, if it was like her fault or her friend's fault or something. But it's not that, it's just the principle of that along with everything else that's led to that. And you kind of just fall apart. So I understand it in that sense. But the way she treated her friend who was kind of in the dark about all of this is not valid. It's easy to say, again, to say, oh, she should have just communicated, but it's not that easy speaking from personal experience. But it's never okay to treat your friend like that, especially when they have nothing to do with it. Her friend was just trying to help, just trying to be there. He literally asked if she wanted help making the food, and she said no twice. So I don't want to say he did all he could, but with what he knew, he did all that he could with his knowledge, and it wasn't fair to him that she crashed out on him and treated him unkindly. But what to do now? I think her intentions seem good. It seems like she knows she's probably in the wrong and wants to fix it, so that's good at least. In terms of what to do in order to kind of get her friend back, I think you just kind of have to wait. I think this is something time will hopefully heal. Just wait for him to come back. I'm sure over time he'll realize that your intentions are pure and you still want to have a friendship with him, and this one little debacle shouldn't get in the way of that. But it's important to, first of all, give him time, pretty much let him know the whole situation, why you acted the way you did, how you felt, but importantly, that you never meant to hurt him, that this was something that had nothing to do with him, and apologize for the fact that of the way you acted towards him because he had nothing to do with it. And there's no saying how he will take that, but I think letting him know your true intentions and the fact that you are sorry and want to stay friends is important. Okay. I need to go mining, but I'm gonna cook all this food first. But I need iron, so I only found 1 iron. But let's read one more story while we're doing that. So this one's titled, I've been in love with my friend for 5 years and I'm finally at peace with it. Alright, here we go. Me, 19 female, and my friend, 20 male, have known each other for going on 6 years. We met at a low point in each other's lives and we got through a lot of stuff together. I first had the moment of, oh shit, a few years ago, but both he and I were in good relationships and we lived hours apart. I decided the best thing to do was distance myself for a while. We got back in contact around late August this year, and everything was going good till he came up to visit and it made all those feelings resurface. But neither of us are in the right position for a relationship, especially long distance, considering past issues on both sides in this area. I'm going to visit him next weekend and was super excited until I got very drunk over Halloween weekend, which was a dumb mistake, and called him while I was heading home and stayed on the phone from around 1 a.m. till 4 and ended up telling him about how much I care about him and all that sweet stuff, without actually saying that I loved him because I was terrified of how he'd react. Cut to now, I'm a week out from seeing him, and I feel like after my last therapy session yesterday, I've realized that as much as, yes, I do love him, he's also my best friend, and some of it probably comes from my appreciation and gratitude to him for helping me through so many times when I had no one. So I'm okay with this being how it is at this point. I'm still in love with him, but I'd rather be happy as this than get both of us hurt and ending up not talking again, because he's still my best friend and someone I feel safe with. Alright, so the classic friends to lovers trope. I personally like friends to lovers over like other tropes, like enemies to lovers and stuff like that. Just because I think that it's important to be someone's friend before you start dating them. I mean, don't have any dating experience, but for my like future girlfriend or wife or situationship, I don't know, I would want to be friends with someone first before going out on dates with them. I don't like the idea of going out on a date with someone to get to know them. I want to already know them before I go like take them out on a date, you know? But that's kind of besides the point. In this situation, it sounds like this person is pretty emotionally mature despite only being 19, but I don't know, because people handle these situations differently. If you want to preserve the friendship, kind of, I don't want to say shove those feelings down, but try to think about it more like you're preserving your friendship rather than like shoving your feelings down. Because I think this situation can be hard for people where they can't really control their emotions and they end up kind of almost sabotaging the friendship or relationship because pretty much like they want more, even though this person has made it clear that they only want to be friends, right? But I think if you're able to control your emotions and realize that, you know, it's probably better off being friends, like this person said, it's probably better off being friends with this person. But yeah, if you're able to control your feelings and not let that get in the way of your friendship, I think, yeah, there's no harm really in being friends. Just make sure you're not falling into that trap most people fall into where they kind of expect more out of the friendship, even though the expectation is set that you guys are just friends, right? Right, that was kind of bad, but I don't really, this is kind of a hard situation. I feel like no matter what you do, I think there's two outcomes. Either you stay friends and you're fine with being friends, and hopefully your feelings don't get in the way of your friendship, or you like kind of tell him how you feel, and then that could go one of two ways. Either he doesn't feel the same, or he does feel the same and you guys end up dating. But if he doesn't feel the same, then things kind of get awkward. Actually, maybe the mature thing would be to tell him how you feel. I think the comments are going to probably have to help me out on this, but because I think if you told him how you felt and he was mature, then if he didn't feel the same way, you guys could still be friends. But maybe if he wasn't emotionally mature, then maybe like, you wouldn't have that friendship anymore. Or maybe he feels the same way and then you guys end up dating and then you live happy ever after, right? But there's like, yeah, there's a million different scenarios that could sprout from this. I think for now, if you think you are able to be friends with him without your feelings getting in the way of that friendship, then yeah, that's totally okay. But if you feel like your feelings are starting to get in the way and feel like you can't really control it anymore and want more, then I think that's when you need to have a conversation, whether that's with him or, just someone about it. Not me, because I am clearly, this is not my area of expertise, but I think this is also a very difficult situation, and I'm sure a lot of people have experienced something similar to this. All right. Little quick story here. This one is called "My girlfriend wants to quit her job and I told her I won't support her financially. Now she's calling me selfish." We've been together for 3 years, living together for 1. She recently said she's quote unquote tired of working and wants to quote unquote find herself for a few months. Like, whatever that means. I told her I can't afford to cover rent and bills alone and that it's not fair. She said if I really loved her, I'd quote unquote believe in her journey. Now she's giving me the silent treatment and I feel like a terrible person, but also frustrated. Am I in the wrong? Okay, just straight away, I don't think this guy is in the wrong here. I think what the girlfriend is asking is pretty selfish, especially in today's economy when basic living is, costing you an arm and a limb. So yeah, I don't think he's in the wrong here. I mean, I'm curious as to what quote unquote finding herself means, and if like the girlfriend actually has some sort of plan. Overall, if it's like, it doesn't sound like she really does have a good plan. It just sounds like she is tired of working and just wants to be lazy and kind of live off someone else's hard work. And I think it's good that he's kind of finding out this side of her now and realizing that maybe this person isn't someone he wants to spend his life with, because if this is going to be a repeated pattern in their relationship and just this is just someone like the kind of person she is, then I think figuring this out now is more beneficial to him, I guess, but it does kind of suck at the same time. But yeah, I think her like pulling the card of, oh, like you don't love me because you don't want to do this for me is, yeah, extremely like selfish on her part. But yeah, like what if he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna quit my job and like quote unquote find myself for the next few months? Like how would she react? I don't think she would be happy with that idea. I think if roles were reversed, it would be way more understandable for her, at least. Alright, so this next story is titled, "Am I the Asshole for Getting My Friend Fired from Her Job?" So my friend and I, 22 female, both work in retail. I had planned for weeks with my boyfriend to go home during the weekend so we could visit my family. 2 weeks ago on Friday, my friend called me and told me that the guy she was speaking to had invited her last minute to a dessert party and she wouldn't be able to make her shift. So she asked me to cover it for her. I had that Friday off and my boyfriend and I were planning on leaving early since the drive is like 4 to 5 hours. I told her I can't cover for her and she got really upset. She ended up telling our manager that she had a family emergency and that I said I'd cover for her. So when my manager called me and asked me why I wasn't at work, since my friend said I would be working her shift, I told her the truth and my friend ended up getting fired. Now she's really upset with me because she's saying I threw her under the bus. Am I the asshole? Just straight away, don't think this person's in the wrong here. Her friend claiming that she threw her under the bus is kind of crazy, because I feel like, if anything, the friend threw her under the bus first. She knew she was lying to her manager when you told her that you couldn't cover her shift, and then she still told the manager that you were going to be there, even though you explicitly said you weren't going to be there, knowing that you would probably, I mean, obviously something was going to happen. And so she was literally throwing her under the bus first. And I don't know what she expected out of that situation when you clearly said you weren't going to cover her shift. But yeah, definitely don't think this person's in the wrong here. And I don't think it's valid that her friend is getting mad at her for not doing this thing when you clearly had plans before this and like you had that day off for a reason. And her asking you to do this thing for her, it's selfish for her friend to be mad at her for it, and it's unrealistic to kind of expect that out of someone. Alright, this next story is titled, I have a crush on my cousin and it's killing me. It should be interesting. I, 19 male, have a crush on my second cousin, 25 female, and it's been eating at me for years. Hell, I'd say calling it a crush is putting it lightly. I've been physically attracted to other people before, but she's the only person I've really had what I think is a true romantic attraction to. It makes me like an absolute piece of shit, but I really don't know what to do about it. We basically grew up together, with me spending a large part of my childhood at her house. I was always terribly awkward and antisocial, and she was only really, bruh, this this grammar sucks. And she was only real friend until middle school. I think I've always had feelings for her in some way, but I only really became aware of it back in 2018 when she kissed me as a joke during a relative's wedding. Okay. It got a bit better, I guess. During and after lockdown, we kind of grew apart. I did my best to forget about how I felt, but the floodgates opened again back in July when she visited the city I was staying in for college, along with my uncle and her older sister's family. She took me out for dinner and got really drunk there, fell asleep in my arms on the hour or so ride back to my place where I got dropped off. All my feelings for her that I thought I buried came back that night. Last month, I went on a week-long trip to the city where she lived and stayed with her the entire time. I thought spending a bit more time would have made me realize that I was just misunderstanding my feelings for her, though that wasn't why I traveled there. But nope, just made it worse. She got me back in smoking, which I had stopped for almost 3 years at that point, and got me drunk for the first time. It was the best week of my life and made going back to college even worse. We message each other every day and talk for hours on video calls almost every day. I really don't know how to deal with my feelings. Alright, is this what we're doing now? We're falling in love with our cousins? I mean, like, there's just so many things wrong about this. Like, first of all, the age difference, like, okay, no, actually, no, sorry, that's not first thing. First thing, it's your cousin. Like, you can't, no, just no. Like, no, you should not be dating your cousin. Like, there's just, like, no real explanation for that, really. Like, I can't really find, at least for me, there's no real justification for that. That's first thing. Second thing is, like, I guess age difference. Like, you guys are, it's like a 25-year-old versus a 19-year-old. I mean, I guess that's not super weird, but still. No, main thing is it's your cousin. Like, you shouldn't be having, I get that she's probably someone important to you and means a lot to you, but, like, you can't be falling in love with someone who's, like, biologically related to you. That's just not gonna end well, really. It's not gonna end well at all. So yeah, like, no, you have to just kind of literally just shove those feelings down. Or, like, I don't even know why that is even something we're considering. It's like, no, it shouldn't be. You cannot, like, act on that. Just find someone else, but keep her as a close friend. But yeah, don't be doing anything. Don't be doing anything crazy. Don't be doing anything you're gonna regret. Alright, this next story is a bit of a long story. I didn't really read it fully yet, but the title is I Kissed My Best Friend. So I'll just get straight into it. For context, me, 21 female, and her, 20 female, have been best friends for at least 8 to 9 years. I have, amongst other of my male friends, been very good friends with her through her multitude of different groups of friends throughout the years. To make sure this is an easier read, I'll call her A. Growing up through high school together, I watched A get with several of my friends amongst other people for long periods of time, and it was never anything weird between us. It was always platonic. She watched me through relationships, and we always were still very close. When I broke up with my first girlfriend about 4 years ago, however, me and A had a very drunkenly high night that ended up in us kissing and her staying over. And this happened a few times consecutively before we both decided to stop it before it got too much. For context, I live in quite a small town, and when someone finds out about these things, everyone you know unfortunately finds out, especially at that age after high school. So my ex wasn't too happy when she found out, and it was all getting too much. I ended up getting in a relationship following this, as did A, and we forgot about it entirely, still remaining to each other platonically, although not as close as before due to our relationships. My new girlfriend knew what had happened between me and A, and she knew it was nothing to worry about, as she knew I was committed to her. However, this is where things get weird. My new girlfriend and A became very, very good friends. In fact, part of a friendship group with some of my friends' girlfriends. They would go on holiday together amongst the other friends, etc., etc. And despite maybe them, her, and A not being the closest in that group, for the period that I was with this girl, 3 years, they were probably closer than I was to A. Interesting. Fast forward to now, just under a year ago, I break up with said girlfriend. Everything resumed normally except me and the A began talking a lot more frequently and seeing each other a lot more. This began normally as friends hinted with a flirtatious vibe, and people started picking up on it and not being very happy about it, especially A's friends within the group. This was understandable as I had broken up with her now good friend, and A was spending time with me too much probably looked weird despite we were friends first. However, one night the drunkenly kiss happened again, and we felt like we were awful people. Stopped it before it got too far and went home. Now we both feel like we have betrayed my ex-girlfriend, and further that even if we wanted to be together, the society that we surround ourselves would outrage at the very thought of it, i.e. all of our friends. They obviously could never know as she would guarantee lose all her friends at this, and understandably so. But yet I keep thinking, every time we're single, this is happening. Even when we're just being friends, we're unable to not come across to others like we're in a relationship. I obviously have known this girl forever and know everything about her, and somehow we have developed an attraction in that period to each other, which is very dangerous. The way we look at each other now, the feeling when we're together is so strong and undeniable. In my mind, we would be a fucking great couple, but I guess it's not really viable. The advice I'm after is how do I proceed with the situation? She says she wants to have a serious conversation to talk about it, but I don't know what to say to her. Whether I make a grand speech about confessing my love or admit that I can't go any further. Okay, that was kind of a long story, but you get the gist. This guy is pretty much... It seems like he has feelings for this friend, and the feeling's mutual. But I think he's just scared of the repercussions of what would start happening if they were to start dating. I don't think he's necessarily scared of her rejecting him. At least that's not what it sounds like. But yeah, I think more so he's scared of the repercussions that it could come with their friend group and whatnot. And to that, I say, like, fuck it. Like, just go for it. Or at least have the conversation. I think having the conversation would be good. You don't necessarily have to commit to anything yet, but I think communication is important, and you've known this person, this friend that it seems like you have feelings for a while. You've known this friend for a while, right? And I think both of you deserve to have a conversation about it. Whether you want to move forward, if you guys feel the same. I get it, it's kind of messy in this situation with the whole friend group, like their whole friend group kind of finding out about it, and yeah, that could get a little messy, but I think it's worth it, honestly. And I'm sure a lot of people would agree. But yeah, having that conversation I think would be important and beneficial to both of you. Because you don't want to go your whole life kind of thinking, what if, kind of just shoving those feelings down for the sake of other people. Like, what do you want? Sometimes you gotta put yourself and your feelings first. And I think it's good that he's considering other people's emotions and how people are going to react and what consequences could come from this, but I think it's important also to think about yourself and what he wants. And, maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe she doesn't even feel the same, but you never know until you ask. You never know until you try, so... Okay, I briefly skimmed this one because it's kind of short, but it's kind of crazy. So this is titled, Girlfriend Giving Me the Cold Shoulder Over Something That Happened in Her Dream. Okay, my girlfriend and I got woken up around 5:30 a.m. by my roommate's cat knocking stuff off the kitchen counter. The thing was going crazy out there, so I offered to deal with it and started making coffee. She just rolls over and stares at the wall, won't even look at me. I can tell something's off, so I ask her what's going on. She sits up, crosses her arms, and tells me I hooked up with her coworker in her dream last night. She's genuinely upset about it. Full on silent treatment for something that happened in her own head while she was asleep. I didn't even know this coworker existed until she mentioned her name just now. I tried talking to her about it, but she got up, slammed the bathroom door, and now I'm sitting here with this confused cat staring at me. How do you handle a situation like this? What do I even say when someone's mad at you for something you did in their dream? Alright, quite an interesting situation to say the least. I mean, if I was in this situation, I wouldn't really know what to say. Like, he didn't even know this coworker existed. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you think dreams have any meaning at all or anything like that. I think they can. I think dreams can have some sort of meaning in the sense that it's something that whoever's dreaming it is like feeling kind of deep down, maybe. Like, obviously, it's not valid for her to get mad at something he did in her dream because he has no control over that. But maybe it's more like she, I don't know, feels insecure about their relationship, which is why her brain is like dreaming this stuff or something. Or maybe she is projecting that, like, you know, like she's cheating or something, or she's like thinking about cheating, or I don't know. I don't really know, but I think dreams can have some sort of deeper meaning. Not in the sense that you can get mad at someone for doing something in your dream, but it might just be more of a way like she perceives him, or a way that you perceive someone. If you're having a dream about someone and they're doing something in that dream, can be more of a way you think about them, or yeah, I think something like that. Because I've had people say they have had like dreams about me doing something, and that's not to say like I would do that thing in that dream, or like that, like I would, yeah, that's not to say I would do something like that, something bad like that happened in their dream. But maybe it's something that that person feels towards me, or feels just overall has a feeling. Like, maybe, like I said, she has some insecurity in her relationship, which is why she's mad at the fact that she had a dream about him cheating. So in terms of what to do, I mean, I think you just kind of gotta let her get over it. I mean, if she is a rational and sane person, I think anyone would understand that that's something you have no control over. So I think you just kind of have to give it time. If she's still mad after a while, like, that's like, you gotta. I don't really know. Like, what do you even do at that point? Like, there's nothing you can even say to like really comfort her. You just gotta sit in it and just wait for her to kind of come to her senses, I guess. So that's what I think. I'm not an expert on this stuff. I'm not really an expert on any of this stuff, but I like to talk about it and think about it because it's interesting. All right, starting out with another sort of friends to lovers, it looks like, story. It's titled "My Friend Kissed Me and Now I'm Worried." I'm 21 female and my friend is 20 male. I've known him for a few months, maybe 5 months. Ever since I met him, I thought he was beyond gorgeous. I thought he was more than just handsome. Okay. We have common interests like gaming, and we often play games together after he's off from work and I'm out of school. I've grown to see him as one of my best friends, even though I haven't known him long. He knows so many of my secrets and I know his. We never explicitly said we would just be friends, but it was like an unsaid thing we both knew, if that makes sense. We would playfully flirt sometimes, but never go far. Mostly just teasing. 3 nights ago, my friend and I were talking on the phone, and he randomly says, "I'm craving donuts." I said, "I literally just posted on Instagram how I wanted some. Are you only saying that because I posted?" And he says, "No, I genuinely want some right now. My friend lives the next town over, so we're about 30 minutes apart." I tell him how there's a 24/7 Krispy Kreme near me and I can get some for us to share. He said he would send me gas money and donut money, and he will also pay me a forehead kiss if I bring some to him. I tell him to move the kiss a bit lower and we have a deal. What the hell? He laughs and I go on my way to get the donuts. Okay. There's some more, but like, first of all, do people like flirt like this and like don't think it means anything? But continuing on, once I get to him with the donuts, he hops in my car and I start munching on one. He thanks me and he says he really appreciates me. He said, "Do you want your payment?" I said yes, but I have a mouthful of donut right now. He says he doesn't care and he grabs my neck and kisses me. I keep replaying that moment in my head. It's been 3 days and I keep thinking of it. I thought he was just teasing or playfully flirting with me, so I didn't expect him to actually kiss me. The night was amazing. We made out a little bit, but didn't go further. The next day we're on call and he gives me an update about this girl he was talking to for around 2 months. Things weren't going well with her and they were barely talking. So he told me he blocked her after we saw each other that night. I'm not sure if I'm delusional, but I felt like that was his way of telling me that the spot isn't open now, question mark. I'm nervous. I don't have much luck with love. I don't know if I should try something out with him or not. We haven't had sex, so I feel like if this is a mistake, it's not hard to go back to just being friends after kissing. I feel like maybe he does have feelings for me and we could try something. I don't know. I don't want to ruin the friendship or lose him as a friend, but is it too late for that now? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that he's into this girl. Like, he's hanging out with her, like, late at night. The way they're flirting is, like, I feel like it's a bit excessive, or I guess a better word would be obvious. I don't know if like people who are just friends flirt like that. Like him saying like he's gonna give her a forehead kiss and then her flirting back and saying move it a little bit lower. Like I don't really know if that's a normal thing that like people who are just friends do. But hey, I mean like that's something that I haven't really experienced, so let me know if that's kind of a normal thing or if that's like kind of weird to do as friends. As just friends, I guess. But it seems like he is into her, so I don't see the harm in her pursuing something, especially since he was saying how he's like dropping this other girl like the night after you guys like were hanging out together. I think that's probably a pretty good indication that, I mean, he's pretty much saying he's free and available, right? And is it a coincidence that's the night right after you guys were making out? Like, I don't think so. So, I mean, yeah, go for it. I think it's obvious that there's shared feelings there. So, all right, next story is titled, Am I the asshole for not forgiving my parents because they called me a failure? I, 27 female, grew up in a very religious household. I played a part for a long time, but when I turned 22, I walked away from religion entirely. I admitted to my parents my views a year later. They cried, screamed, disowned me, re-owned me, called me names, and preached at me constantly. I still wanted my parents in my life, even though we didn't agree on very fundamental things. So I put up with a lot. My mom has breached my trust for the sake of religious advice. She told me something I told her in confidence about myself. That person ended up telling a person who told a person, and it ended up being super public. I forgave that and moved on. I told mom to not talk about things I tell her in private, but I know she still talks. Nothing as embarrassing has happened since, but it bothers me and I haven't confronted her every time about it. My parents both preach at me constantly. I ask that they respect my position as I respect theirs and just calm down with all the preachiness. For one small example, I can't say something was quote unquote lucky or that I worked hard for something. They correct me and say, God bless you. After a few 100 million times it gets annoying and I'm tired of hearing it. They blew up at how ungrateful I am and how I'm going to quote unquote get what's coming for me. Most unfortunate of all, our political positions are so far from one another. I point out their hypocrisy and uncharitable spirit. They say I'm a libtard snowflake. Damn. I've tried everything to avoid political topics with them, but they push hard to talk about it. My mother said some racist and nasty things on the phone, and I told her I would hang up the phone if she didn't drop it. To make a long story short, she ended up crying on the phone to me about how she failed me as a parent. That fucking hurt. Damn. To insinuate you failed as a parent means you have a child who is a failure. I am financially independent. I bought my own house at 23. Wow. I moved 600 miles away and made it on my own. I'm the only woman in our entire family who has made something of themselves outside of the mother/wife title. I'm a failure, question mark? Because of this one thing, I'm a failure. I told them I'm hurt and they crossed the line this time. I put up with a lot, but this has finally done me in. They don't understand what they've done wrong and I've tried explaining it plenty. Am I the asshole for not letting this go too? My whole family says I am being dramatic and that I should be grateful they care so much. I've let so much go. I can see where they might expect me to let this go too, but this cuts so much deeper. I might be the asshat because I am suddenly drawing a line in the sand that they have never seen before and probably should have by now. Do I forgive them this time, but let them know to change in the future? Yeah. I'm gonna say definitely not the asshole. It is a little bit of a tough situation because they are your parents and you feel like you kind of owe them because, you know, these are people that birthed you, right? That raised you, that, you know, gave you a house to live under and a table to eat food and stuff. But there comes a certain point where there's only so much control they should have over you. I'm someone who's kind of questioning their faith right now and their religious beliefs. I grew up a Catholic for pretty much my whole life, and my parents are pretty Catholic too, but I have been at school for the last couple years and have not gone to church at all, and I've kind of been questioning some of the things some of the beliefs, I guess, of the Catholic Church. I have told my parents about this, and they have been not necessarily supportive, but they haven't really, disowned me for it, and they still accept me. But I think that is because they probably hope or think that I will come back, and to that I'll say I'm not sure if I will. But in terms of this situation, I think this person just needs a little bit of space, maybe like a year or so of not talking to their parents, not really connecting with them. See how that feels as like a little trial run of, I guess, cutting them off. But again, I understand that you don't want to cut off your parents, but it seems like her having this relationship with her parents is causing her a whole lot of grief, and it's something that she doesn't really need. It seems like she said she's like financially independent and is doing very well on her own, so she doesn't necessarily need this relationship. But it is, again, hard because it's something to do with your family and your parents. But yeah, you kind of have to think about yourself here. If this relationship is causing you like this much grief or pain or suffering or stress, then you have to ask yourself, is it really worth it? So that's why I think maybe taking a break from talking to them or kind of cutting them out for a year and seeing how that treats you might be a good idea. Okay, this story kind of caught my eye, but it's called I, 23 female, keep having sleepovers with my friend, 24 male, but nothing ever happens and I'm so confused. So I, 23 female, have this friend, 24 male, let's call him Matt. We're both international students. We met during a welcome event for new students in August 2024. We're from the same countries, so we started talking and became friends instantly. He's conventionally attractive, and honestly, I was into him the moment I saw him, but at the time I was in a relationship, so I never acted on it. I eventually broke up with my boyfriend around the end of the year because long distance just wasn't working anymore. Matt has been single since we met, and he is attracted to women, just to clear that up. Anyway, we're part of a small friend group, 3 guys including him, 1 other girl, and me. We used to hang out almost every weekend, cook dinner, drink, and chill. So it's pretty normal for me or Matt to go to each other's places. One night, everyone's left early, and it was just Matt and me. We kept drinking and talking until like 3 a.m., and since it was too late for him to go home, he crashed at my place. My apartment is super small, with basically just a bed, a tiny couch, a closet, and a desk, so we ended up sharing the bed. It was super awkward, but nothing happened. He left in the morning and we never talked about it. I was a bit confused because he didn't even try anything, but at the same time I felt really safe and respected. What I didn't expect was that it wouldn't be the last time. We've had multiple sleepovers since then, either at my place or his, and still nothing happens. Like literally nothing at all. We just talk, drink, play card games, and sleep. After a few nights like that, I asked if he's ever done this kind of thing with another girl, and he said no, which made it even weirder. Of course, I haven't had these kind of sleepovers with my male friends either, but as I mentioned in the beginning, I am attracted to Matt, and I wouldn't mind if something did happen with him. However, I'm really shy and never make the first move. At this point, it feels like we've slipped into this weird brother-sister dynamic. He doesn't even step out when I change my clothes or shower, like it's the most normal thing. So what's going on here? Are we just really close friends? Is he not attracted to me? Or is he just being respectful and waiting for me to do something? For context, I'd say I have a cute face and an average body. He's definitely more attractive than me, but I don't think I'm unattractive either. Okay, I mean, it's like seems like there's potential for like a relationship here. I mean, they're having sleepovers together, so if I was sleeping over with this girl like multiple times, but like not doing anything, I mean, at that point, I'm just kind of like waiting to see if she's gonna do something. If I haven't done anything yet, I feel like if I was in this guy's shoes, I'm assuming he's just waiting for a kind of opening. And that's when, I guess, on her end, she just has to be a little more direct with either being like more flirty or like having a direct conversation with him. I think there's 2 things she could do here. She could either be a little bit more flirtatious and, hold deeper eye contact, or, I don't know what girls do. Like look at their lips or something, or be like more touchy or something. I don't know. But like be more flirtatious to kind of give him that opening, or just literally have a adult conversation with him. And I know that's hard for some people, me included, but just be direct. I think guys like when you're direct. And I'm sure he has some sort of mutual feelings towards you. Otherwise, I don't think any other guy would be sleeping over constantly at a girl's house if he wasn't interested, unless he's gay, maybe. But yeah, I think he's just kind of looking for that opening. And who knows why he's not making a move. Maybe he's shy too. He just like me for real. But yeah, I think you just kind of got to be direct with him. And maybe having a conversation might be better, but a little scarier. I don't know. For you at least. I don't know how you feel about that. I know I'm not great at that. But just being like, yeah, hey, we've been having these sleepovers a lot. We don't really do anything, but I've found, wait, hang on. I find you attractive, and we've been having these sleepovers a lot, but nothing really happens. I just want to know if you feel, what am I saying, bruh? Just be like, hey, we've been having these sleepovers a lot, and I've begun to like and enjoy your company. And I was wondering if you feel the same. Or just be like, hey, we've been having these sleepovers a lot, but nothing really happens. I've grown to like and enjoy your company, but I'm not sure if you feel the same. Something like that. And just see what he says. Just like have any sort of conversation about the situation. I'm sure it won't be as bad or as scary as you think it will be. And I guarantee in a situation like this, it will benefit you. Alright, last story here. This one's titled, Am I in the Wrong for Cutting My Friends Off Because They Do Everything Without Me? So I've been friends with Jennifer, 23 female, since high school. She has a childhood best friend who I also became very good friends with as well, Erica, 22 female. I've never felt threatened by Erica, nor have I ever felt jealousy towards her. Us three have done things together since high school, but since it's ended, they've slowly started to do things without me. And fun things too. They would go to concerts, new restaurants, plays, etc. without me. They would post about it, and that's how I would find out. I know I'm possibly wrong for feeling mad and left out, since I understand they have the right to one-on-one time too, but I'm sorry. This is just how I feel, and here's where I finally blew up. I've always wanted to go to the Hello Kitty Cafe, and they knew that. I was the only one talking about it, and they seemed to have not really cared about going, but said they would go for me, and they had me thinking that maybe one day we'll all go and have a great time. Well, as you can probably guess, they went without me and posted about it. I stopped talking to them and stopped viewing their stories, and was really thinking of cutting them off, but Jennifer reached out to me, and we talked it out, and she told me that she was sorry and that we could do more things together. I was happy until I noticed that things really didn't change. We hung out not even once a month, but her and Erica were basically together more than twice a week, doing fun things, going out to LA and going to beaches and even a certain beach that I want to go. They posted about it like always, and that's when I blocked both of them. And I probably should have given them an explanation, but TBH, I don't think that they would care anyways, since they clearly don't bother to invite me to anything else. So it's like I never had friends to begin with. It sucks being excluded from everything, like they literally do everything without me. And I've been here so lonely, but weirdly enough, as soon as I cut them off, I felt less lonely, even though I really don't have friends anymore. Weird, right? Edit. Also, throughout my friendship with Jen, I've noticed how she only ever gravitated towards me whenever she was mad at Erica. Like, she just automatically remembered I existed, and all she would do is talk about how messed up Erica was for said reason. Or if Erica wasn't in town because she went to school farther away, Jen would basically remember my existence, so she just made me feel like a backup friend whenever Erica was not around or upsetting her. It sucks because I really viewed both of them as my main set of friends, but I'm glad I realized that they didn't view me as theirs. Okay, I mean, this is just like a sucky situation to be in general. It always sucks to be kind of the outsider in the friend group, or feel like the outsider in the friend group, especially in a group of three, when the other two people are constantly hanging out together and also making it known. It's easy to personalize things, and from her perspective, she might think, oh, like, they're posting themselves hanging out together, and it's because they want me to see that and be jealous and whatnot. It's easy to think that, but I mean, that's probably not true. But at the same time, it's hard to kind of look past that and not want more out of that friendship, because you see these people constantly hanging out and having a good time together and doing things that, I mean, you said you wanted to do together, right? And they're out doing it. It sucks. And when you eventually kind of hang out with them or ask them to hang out, you almost feel like a burden for kind of wanting to hang out or intruding on their hangout. And it's hard. I mean, it seems like they already kind of were cutting her out. Like, she mentioned that they only really hang out like once a month maybe. And when, her closer friend Jen is hanging out with her, it's like everything's about her other friend Erica, and it's only when she's not in town or she's mad at Erica is when Jen wants to hang out with this person. So it seems like, yeah, she's just kind of the friend for convenience when her other friend isn't around, which is definitely a place you don't want to be. So I think they're in the right for wanting to cut that friendship out and kind of move on, because it seems like these people aren't really people you want to necessarily be around. People who are going to be constantly overlooking your basic needs for friendship, I guess. Just wanting to hang out with someone is kind of a basic need for friendship. And it sucks because the fact that they want to do it constantly, but they don't want to do it with you, just kind of speaks volumes in it of itself. And so I think it's good that she's cutting that out, and I don't think she's in the wrong for that, because I think they didn't really leave her any real choice. And the thing that she mentioned about not feeling as lonely is definitely, I definitely feel that a little bit. I kind of went through a little friendship breakup recently, and I don't know, it just wasn't, it was good while it was good, but when it was bad, it was bad. I'll just say that. But yeah, I think learning to kind of deal with that and realize, you outgrow friendships, people move on, people grow up, people change, and it's important to look out for yourself and satisfy your own needs first, and not really rely on other people to do that. Or you can rely on other people, but make sure it's not just one person or one group of people. Kind of expand your network, and I think that's something I've learned to do in this past month or so. Kind of expand my network, and not even expand it, just kind of grow the current network, or sorry, not really expand it, but kind of grow the trees that are already planted, if that makes sense. So keep in touch with more people that are already in my kind of circle, and try and make new friends too. I think that's important. Networking is something I'm trying to get better at. As an introvert, it's not easy, but it is a very good skill to have. And I think, yeah, these past few weeks actually have been working out for me well. So the story is titled, "My 28 female boyfriend, 34 male, just told me after 6 years that he never wants kids." The title says it all. After trying to figure out why intimacy has all but completely disappeared from our relationship, he finally said it. We've been together for 6.5 years and moved in together in 2020. We've been talking about getting engaged, but I could feel him growing more and more distant. Recently, he's been avoiding the topic altogether. In the beginning, we talked about kids and our future all the time. We daydream about where we'd raise them, what values we teach them, and what things we learned from our parents that we would or wouldn't bring into our own parenting. I'm not really sure when that stopped. When I tried to bring it up, he got upset and said I was quote-unquote pressuring him to have this conversation. Maybe I did push, but I just wanted to understand what changed. Once he finally said it out loud, it was like my heart and brain shut off. I was stunned, completely heartbroken. Everyone keeps telling me how lucky I am that kids aren't involved, and while I know that's true logically, emotionally it feels like my entire world is slipping through my fingers. I don't have much family, and the thought of losing this relationship devastates me in so many ways. I don't think there's any real compromise here, is there? Is there any hope of resolving this without having to choose between him and my future kids? Okay, this is a really interesting situation to be in, and I'm sure a lot of people will end up having to go through something like this, and I'm sure have been through something like this. Having kids is I think, core value and something that's really important in all relationships. Having kids is something that you need to agree on in order to want to grow a relationship with someone. And I think the early stages of relationships, at least when you're younger, it's not really a conversation that comes up a lot. But definitely, I think for the people in the story, it is definitely a relevant topic and something to consider, especially being in a relationship for so long, being 6.5 years. And first of all, the fact that she felt like she was being kind of pushy with it doesn't really make sense to me, especially after being together for so long. It is a conversation that needs to happen if they plan on being together forever, pretty much, or if they plan to get married. And the fact that he was saying that she was essentially pressuring him to have this conversation is kind of immature in my opinion. I think having this conversation is really important, like I said, especially if you want to grow a relationship with someone. And I think kids are a big part of your future, and I think if you want to grow a relationship with someone, that is something one of the main things you need to agree on. I think there's a few other things too, something like religion or politics and other things like that, but having kids is something that is very deterministic of your future. A lot of people choose not to have kids. I'm not one of those people. I think I would love to have kids, but I know a lot of people that don't exactly want to have kids for several reasons that I won't get into, but it is something that you and your partner should agree on in order to grow a relationship. So I think in this case, it is hard with how long their relationship has been, but she is still pretty young. She's only 28, but it does just suck that they couldn't have this conversation earlier and she is just finding out this information now. But I think it's important to find that out now versus maybe she does convince him later down the line to have kids, but it's deep down not really what he wants, and that just ends up leading to built up resentment and then maybe, I don't know, a divorce or something, and then the kids get involved and it's just a whole mess. So I guess it is better that it's happening now, but again, it does suck because that is something you can't really compromise on, because that is one of the core values in a relationship that you need to agree on in order to essentially move forward with the relationship. All right, this is a really interesting story that caught my eye that I know I can relate to, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us have had this thought, but it's called, How Do I Deal with Dying One Day? I, 26 female, struggle with the idea of simply not existing anymore. I have a loving partner to share my life with, and I rationally understand that the human lifespan has its limits, but I regularly experience intense anxiety attacks about the fact that I'm going to die someday. I'm not religious, but I wish I could be, just to make myself feel better. I would love to believe in reincarnation, heaven, or anything like that, but I can't. I've tried and it just doesn't feel real to me. I know death isn't special. I know that as a living being, I'm destined to die, but I don't know how to make peace with it. I understand that my matter will one day become part of everything else, that the continuity of consciousness is an illusion, that I didn't mind the time before I was born, so logically, I shouldn't mind the time after I'm dead. But logic doesn't help. I can't keep doing this. The dread, the nausea, the panic, I just can't. Sometimes it feels like being born at all was a mistake. I don't have access to therapy, and even if I did, the therapists in my area aren't helpful. They probably just nod and say, that sounds hard, or bring up religion, which isn't what I need. Has anyone ever successfully dealt with what I'm feeling? Is anyone out there? Please help me. I mean, yeah, this is an interesting subject to speak on and think about because it's something I have thought about multiple times and on multiple occasions in the past, and I still don't really know how to deal with it. As someone that was religious and is still kind of questioning their faith, I don't know if I believe in an afterlife, but I've started to want to believe that there isn't one, and the reason for that is because I want to think that this is the only life I'm going to live, and I think that gives this life more value. If I believe that there is an afterlife, which I think a lot of people do because it gives them some sort of comfort that after this life there is something else to come, something better to come. I want to believe that there isn't an afterlife because that is going to change my mindset about this life and want me to essentially live this life to the fullest. And I think that's a good way to kind of dealing with the fact that you are going to die one day, is to essentially, it's going to sound corny, but to live in the present moment, to not really think about that. That is like a million miles away, right? I mean, sure, it may come sooner than you think, but you got to focus more on living in the present, living day to day. Make sure you're pretty much romanticizing your daily life, whether you're doing something super exciting or super boring. You want to make the most out of all your days because, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, your life on a big timeline of everything that's ever happened in the universe is pretty much minuscule. It's, what's the word? I'm losing the word, but I'm blanking. But your time on here on Earth is pretty much insignificant compared in the grand scheme of things. You know, no one's really going to remember you in like 200 years unless you do something like super significant, like you're a president or something, but no one's really going to remember you. And I think that gives me a sort of peace. Like nothing I really do here is gonna really matter, so might as well just do anything really. Like go crazy, like romanticize every part of your life because no one's gonna remember what you do. I mean, sure, you're gonna have an impact on some of the people around you that, you know, get to have the privilege of living with you and living during your time, I guess, but other than that, like no one's really gonna remember you after like a certain pretty small amount of time, honestly. And that's a good thing. People might think that's a bad thing, like wow, no one's gonna remember me, like what's even the point of living? But I like to think about it like no one's gonna remember me, so why does it matter what I even do? So go crazy, go do whatever you want. It's not gonna matter. And that's the way I like to think about it. So yes, this is something I have definitely thought about in the past and still kind of contemplate. Like it's hard not to think about it just because I think one of the things in life that we have no control over, there's a lot of different things, but death is the one thing that is inevitable in life. And it's something that scares a lot of people, me included, but I've learned to try to not think about it as much. But also, if I do think about it as, okay, one day I'm going to die, but that just means I have my entire life to live. So life is kind of meaningless without death. If we all live forever, there would really be no point in living. So that's the way I like to think about it. All right, this next story is a little too real for me, but it's titled, I Hate My Best Friend. I've known him for 6 years now. We met online and mostly talked through there, but I've always struggled to make or at least maintain friendships in real life, so I held my online friends close. I became especially close to this one friend. We actually met in person 2 years ago and spent 2 days together before I had to go back home to another state. That trip felt like the beginning of the end. Since then, I feel like we've drifted apart, like we're barely even friends anymore. I feel guilty for being jealous, for feeling hurt when I see him spending time with other people more than he ever did with me, but I can't help it. We don't call much anymore, and we don't really do anything together besides talk every now and then. Recently, I found out he has other friends he watches movies with, plays games with, and voice calls all the time. We never really did that. I used to think it was because his Wi-Fi wasn't good enough, and to be fair, he did have connection issues, but now I'm not so sure. It makes me feel childish, but I can't deny that it hurts. He says we're best friends, but he barely reaches out unless I message first. And even when he does reply, he seems disinterested, like talking to me is an obligation, not something he enjoys. I hate that I care this much. I hate that he makes me so angry. I just want it all to end. Damn. Yeah, this one hits a little too close to home for me. This is something, unfortunately, I've felt and I guess dealt with multiple times throughout my life so far. And it's honestly not great. But I think the worst part about it is just seeing this person that you cared for so much, someone that you loved and respected and valued, do something willingly with other people versus you having to pretty much beg them to do the bare minimum for you. And I think that's what kind of sucks about this. It's like you see them doing stuff with other people and they're having so much fun and you want pretty much that same level of closeness, but they're not giving it to you and they're kind of making you beg for that connection still, which pretty much just speaks volumes in and of itself. Like you pretty much like these other people more than you like me for reasons that are unknown, because it seemed like these people had some sort of close connection at one point, but them drifting apart just shows that that connection isn't really there anymore, and it really sucks. But I think there's a few things I've learned to do, and I know it's gonna be a little like cliche and like they've probably heard all this stuff before, and I'm sure I've heard a lot of this stuff before. But like, number one, you have to realize as you get older, friendships are going to evolve. It's not going to be like high school friendships where you guys all live in the same area or you're all seeing each other constantly. People are going to be moving around for school or college or work or things like that. They're going to have busy lives. You know, some of my friends are getting married. Some of them are starting new jobs, moving to new cities. And it's important to recognize that those friendships are going to grow and evolve. And sometimes you are going to outgrow them. And that's okay. I mean, it's kind of weird that this person still considers them their best friend, considering how like little it seems like they talk and interact, and it seems like they don't really do much. And I think that's another thing, is low maintenance friendships. I think they can be good. I think I have quite a few low maintenance friendships. What I mean by low maintenance friendships is like you don't have to talk to them every day in order to maintain the friendship. And I think that's good for some of your friends. Like I have a lot of friends that are like that. A lot of my high school, or I guess I don't really have a lot of friends, but like my high school friends and my childhood best friend, like we're pretty much low maintenance. Like we don't need to talk to each other every day, but we'll talk to each other maybe once a week or maybe more than that. But I think there's an understanding there that we'll be friends and we don't need constant communication to maintain that friendship, which is nice. But I think some friendships do require that constant connection just because that's just how the dynamic is. And I had one of those friendships that recently we kind of grew apart for reasons I won't get into, but that wasn't a low maintenance friendship. And that was one of those friendships where constant communication I felt was needed and was something I wanted, but it wasn't something that they wanted. So I think there was just a mismatch of expectations there. And now it's kind of grown into, we had an understanding that it should be a low maintenance friendship, but the way kind of things ended with that final conversation, it seemed like we pretty much weren't going to be friends anymore, or we were just gonna have a low maintenance friendship, which kind of sucked, but I do understand. It's understandable to have this feeling of jealousy, you know. You don't actually hate your best friend, but you just hate feeling unimportant to someone who once made you feel special. And that's a completely human interaction. It's something I'm sure a lot of us have been through. I have personally been through, but it does suck. But I think a way I've started to deal with it is redirecting my energy. So these people that, you know, I've gotten super attached to, I was almost relying on them for emotional fulfillment. And that shouldn't depend on only one person. What I've learned to do is kind of grow my network and also, well, I guess grow my circle of friends, but also water the seeds that I've already planted. You know, reach back out to old friends or reconnect with, you know, the people that are already in my life and grow those connections. Because for a long time, I think I prioritized this relationship I had with these friends, and I would redirect almost all my energy to them. Now that I don't have that, it's like I don't really have anywhere to, you know, put my energy towards. So I learned that putting it towards a bunch of other people that are already in my circle and also growing my circle was a good use of my energy. It was almost a better use of my energy versus making that reliant on one person. And so I think that's important. And also, don't shame yourself for caring. You're not childish for being hurt. You value the friendship deeply, and that's not a weakness, that's loyalty. And it only becomes painful when it's not reciprocated, and recognizing that imbalance is a sign of self-awareness, not immaturity. So I think the best way to heal is to let yourself grieve what the friendship was, but also start slowly building a life where your emotional fulfillment doesn't only depend on one person, but it can depend on a lot of people. And also yourself. Make sure you're looking out for yourself, doing things that make you happy, not always prioritizing other people or depending on other people for emotional fulfillment. Alright, this next story is titled, I broke down at work today because someone said, take your time. I'm 33 female and I don't really know how to explain this without sounding ridiculous, but I cried in a bathroom stall at work today because my manager told me, quote unquote, no rush, take your time. That's it, that's all he said. But I've spent my entire life in survival mode. Growing up, everything was urgent. Everything was yelling. Everything was, why aren't you doing more? My nervous system has been permanently stuck in go, go, go for decades. So today when I accidentally messed up a spreadsheet and apologized 5 times in 30 seconds, he just smiled and said, it's okay, take your time. And my whole body shut down. My brain didn't know how to process kindness, or patience, or safety. It just cracked. I locked myself in the bathroom and cried silently because apparently my body still thinks compassion is some kind of trap. It's wild how unfair gentleness feels. I thought I'd grown past my childhood, but it turns out parts of me never really left. I don't know why, I'm just like cheesing just reading this for some reason, but I think we've all been there. I don't know about crying and breaking down, but I think we all just need that sometimes. That just little bit of reassurance that everything's okay, that you're doing fine, you're gonna make it. And I think at the end of the day, that's all it is. You gotta understand that everything's gonna be okay. And when someone tells that to you after not thinking that for so long, it just gets you. It looks like it got this person. And sometimes that's just all you need though. It's just one person telling you, you know, no rush, take your time, everything's gonna be okay. And I honestly wish people would tell me that. I like to tell myself that, but it's a lot different coming from someone else. And I think a lot of us could use that right now. So I will be the one to tell you, there's no rush, take your time, everything's gonna be okay. And I truly believe that. Right now, it might seem like there's a lot going on in your life. There's a lot of drama, a lot of things you're doing wrong, maybe, or maybe you think you're doing wrong. A lot of things you feel like you could be doing. But you gotta understand that there is no rush. Just take it as slow as you want. No one has life figured out yet. There's a million different things you can do. There's a million different things you should try. There's a million different things you should fail at before you understand that everything's going to be okay. Those failures and those experiences are just lessons for you. I am 22, so I consider myself pretty young, but I'm kind of at that age where I am starting to explore different things, different hobbies, figuring out what I like, figuring out what I pretty much want to do for the rest of my life. And I think it's important to understand that I don't have to have that figured out. A lot of people that are way older than me still don't have it figured out. And I want to just try things because I want to find out what's fun, what I like and what I don't like. And I want to make mistakes. I want to obviously not intentionally make mistakes, but you know, try different things, see what works, see what doesn't work, see, you know, who I want to be around, see what kind of people I want to be around, see what kind of people I don't want to be around. And yeah, this is just a big tangent that I went on, sorry, but um, I'm trying to, you know, give myself advice, but also give anyone listening advice. So I appreciate you listening. All right, next story is called I'm Not Attracted to My Boyfriend. I think this one might get a little rough, so strap in. I've been feeling this way for a while now. Even though I love him deeply on an emotional level, I just can't feel physically attracted to him. I do really love him. He treats me well, he's caring, kind, and I know he loves me too. But no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to feel that physical spark. I don't enjoy being intimate with him, and even kissing doesn't feel right. The worst part is that it's not something he can change. I'm talking about physical traits that are just part of who he is. And it's gotten to the point where I found myself worrying that if we ever had kids, they might inherit those traits and be bullied like he was. Holy shit. That's kind of crazy. I feel horrible for thinking this way. I don't want to break up with him because I do care about him. We've only been together for 6 months, but he's generally a good person and means a lot to me. Okay, before I continue, I feel like 6 months isn't an insane amount of time, but moving on. At the same time, I feel cruel for staying with him when I know he deserves someone who loves him both emotionally and physically. But I also can't stand the thought of hurting him. I know he'd be devastated if I ended things, and that breaks my heart. To make things even more complicated, we share the same friend group and go to the same university. He's 2 years ahead of me. So if we break up, it's going to be messy and awkward for everyone. Okay, I can kind of see how that can be a little messy. I feel trapped, torn between wanting to protect him and wanting to be honest with both of us. I can't talk to anyone about this, and it's eating me alive. Please, I need outside opinions. No need to sugarcoat anything. I just need to hear the truth. Alright, this is not something I'm qualified to speak on, but I will try my best to give my best input on the situation and what I think should happen. First of all, like I said, I think 6 months isn't a super long time. She's mentioned that she's in university, and yeah, 6 months may seem like a long time, and a breakup could be messy with, you know, them going to the same school still and having the same friend group. But I think that she's right. She deserves, this guy deserves someone that is both attracted to him emotionally and physically. And it's not fair to both of them that she's having to pretty much lie about that and kind of keep that under covers that she isn't really attracted to him physically. That's not really something that's in either of their controls. Like, I'm sure all of us have a type. A lot of people will find certain people attractive, while, you know, a lot of people won't find certain people attractive. Sorry, that was a really broad statement, but you know what I mean. Like, you might consider yourself ugly, but someone might consider yourself attractive. Did I say that right? You might consider yourself ugly, but someone might consider you attractive, and vice versa. You might consider someone attractive, but someone else might consider them ugly. It's like having a type, pretty much. And yeah, you can fall in love with someone's personality and on an emotional level, but I feel like that can only get you so far in a relationship, and vice versa. You can fall in love with someone's physical appearance and be physically attracted to them, but if you don't like their personality or you don't like them on an emotional level, there's only really so far that relationship can go. And I think both of those things are obviously really important to have in a relationship. And I think 6 months is kind of a long time, but it's better to kind of realize this now and kind of break that off now so that you have more opportunity to find other people for both of your sakes. I mean, you shouldn't stay in a relationship because of guilt, right? The longer you perpetuate the lie, the crueler you're being. The longer you drag this out for, the more it's going to hurt in the end. And it's something that you could have done earlier. So you might as well, I don't want to say get it over with because that sounds bad, but it's good that you're realizing this now, and you can take this into future relationships too, that you need to have both emotional and physical attraction in order for the relationship to work on some sort of level. Obviously, you don't need to find your partner the like most attractive person in the world, although a lot of people do consider their partners to be. And yeah, but like realistically, that's not gonna happen. But on some sort of level, they need to be a 10 in your book, both like a physically and, you know, on a personality level too, at least in my opinion. And so yeah, I don't want to like sound bad, but like, you know, stop wasting each other's time pretty much, and make it so he can stop wasting his time and find someone he's meant to be with, and also you can stop wasting your time and you can find the person you're meant to be with. That sounds really bad, but like I don't really know like a better way to put it besides that. So okay, last story here, and this one might Might shed a few tears, I'm not gonna lie. But it's called How Do You Mourn a Living Friend? It's 4 in the morning and I haven't slept yet. I, 21 female, am crying over my best friend, also 21 female, the girl I've known for 13 years, the person I talk to every single day for the last 6 or 7. 6 or 7? Alright, stop. We stopped talking 2 months ago, and at first I only cried because I felt betrayed and abandoned. But tonight I'm crying because I just miss her, you know? What set me off was stumbling across these old videos she made of us. Cute friendship edits, those TikTok trends we used to jump on together. At first I didn't even tear up. I laughed actually because one of them said, "I'll be there for your highs and lows," which felt so painfully ironic now. But then I found this reel I had sent her. That Hailey Bieber and Kendall Jenner one with the Serena and Blair, they do besties better than anyone sound. And I just broke. Full on ugly shaking sobs because that was us. That was exactly who we were. No matter how chaotic life got, no matter how busy we both were, we were stitched into each other's days. We had this rhythm, texting through commutes, calling during meltdowns, sharing memes at 3 a.m., and it wasn't effort, it was an instinct. Our lives were so intertwined that it felt like she lived inside my phone, inside my head, inside every little routine I had. Losing that feels like someone ripped out a piece of my daily life, and the space is still hollow. It honestly feels like grieving someone who hasn't died. Like a breakup, but somehow worse, because it's 13 years of my life. More than half of who I've been. And the hardest part is knowing that even if we were ever to talk again, it'll never be the same. There's too much resentment now, too much unspoken hurt. But the missing, oh god, the missing. It's almost cathartic now. Like my heart is finally admitting what my brain has been trying to outrun. I'm avoidant, so I pretend I don't need anyone, that I don't care or miss people, but I do, I really, really do. I don't even know how to cope with this kind of grief, if you can even call it that. Am I crazy for crying over this? It feels so pathetic. I mean, okay, I'm gonna read the first, I guess the top response or comment or whatever on this post, because I think it's really good. It says, "You're not crazy, and it's not pathetic. What you're feeling is grief, plain and simple. Losing a best friend, especially one woven so deeply into your everyday life, can be just as painful as a romantic breakup." Facts. Sometimes even worse. You shared years of laughter, comfort, and emotional safety with her, and that kind of bond rewires your sense of normal. When it's gone, your brain keeps reaching for her like muscle memory, and the absence feels physically painful. You're not weak from missing her, you're human. The truth is, some friendships are meant to shape us rather than stay with us forever. They teach us how to love, how to show up, how to feel deeply, even when they end. The best thing you can do right now is let yourself mourn it without shame. Cry when you need to, talk about her, write about her. Remember her fondly, even if it hurts, and slowly the ache will become softer, more nostalgic than devastating. You may never have that same friendship again, but you'll carry pieces of what it taught you into every connection you make from here. Missing her just means she mattered, and that's something beautiful, not something to apologize for. I just feel like I can relate to this on like some sort of level. I don't think on the same level, but I definitely think similar feelings I've definitely had in recent, like literally within the last month, and also in the past too. I think in the past it hasn't been as bad just because I've kind of had that understanding that, you know, friendships kind of grow apart, and I think those friendships were, or I grew apart from those friendships because of shifts that happened in my life. In this case, it was her like moving cities, but in my case, it was kind of us transitioning from high school to college, and I kind of realized that that was a part of just life in general, is that transition, and those friendships aren't meant to last forever. But I do still have a majority of those friendships actually, and they're just more low maintenance friendships, which I'm fine with. But as of recently, I think I've kind of gone through something like this, and it's just like there's nothing you can really do about it to fix it. That's the thing. It's not up to you. That's kind of what you have to realize. There's only so much control you can have over a situation like this. And that's just kind of the sucky part about it, is that you feel like you have no control. There's only so much you can do to, I guess, beg someone or persuade someone to like give you the level of friendship that you crave. And yeah, it can be seen as, you know, you being too attached to them or being too clingy, but in reality, it's just you just want someone to be there for you. And you also want to be there for someone too. I was reading some of the responses, and she responded to a few of them, pretty much like explaining, people were asking about the situation, and she was kind of giving more context. I'll actually read this one, but someone asked, "Why did you guys stop being friends?" And she said, "It wasn't one big fight or anything. It was more like everything in my life shifted at once. I moved alone to a new city where I didn't know anyone, and it was such a difficult, isolating time for me. Still is, honestly. That's exactly when I needed her the most, and that's exactly when she stopped showing breaking up. For months, I kept trying to call her during meltdowns, reaching out when I felt unsafe or lonely, even just wanting to share stupid little gossip the way we would always do, and she just wouldn't pick up. She wouldn't call back. She'd take days to reply to messages. Normally, I wouldn't care if it were any other friend, but with her, it stung a very specific way. I even confronted her at one point. I told her how forgotten I felt, how everyone seemed to move on with their lives, and she, of all people, felt the most distant. I told her how unloved I suddenly felt, and she apologized, but nothing actually changed. The same pattern kept repeating: the distance, the inconsistency, the feeling that I was the only one holding the thread, and it was so exhausting, honestly. Eventually, the whole friendship just started to feel artificial and distant. I didn't want to keep chasing something that wasn't being held on the other side, so I dipped out. And yeah, that's kind of the pattern, I guess, is just slowly pulling back and noticing they're not really, trying to grab onto you, pretty much. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. But yeah, she started to slowly pull back. You could see her explaining that she would want to call or, reach out to this friend that she had such a close connection with for such a long time. And honestly, that's what kind of stings too, is that there wasn't any big fight she mentioned. It was just kind of slowly distancing herself. It was just kind of slowly the friendship growing apart, slowly, them becoming distant from each other. And that is primarily due to a one-sided relationship because someone is trying to hold on to this relationship that's slowly fading away while the other person is just kind of letting it go. And then once that person that's holding on starts to kind of loosen their grip and pull back a little bit, that's when the friendship ends up just falling apart, because at that point then no one's holding on. And yeah, it just sucks. And again, this is one of those things that isn't really in your control. You only have so much control over someone's behavior and how they treat you. You can only do so much in a relationship or in a friendship that will make someone love you or, satisfy your expectations for the friendship. And yeah, it sucks because this person who you thought you were so close with and you've been so close with for such a long time is just slowly fading out of your life for no real reason either. And the fact that it's happening in a point in your life where you feel like you're drowning is just icing on the cake, right? It all just sucks pretty much. I honestly don't have a whole lot of advice on how to deal with this situation. I think I've talked about it in some previous videos or in some previous stories that I've read in this video. But yeah, there's like a lot of different things you can do to kind of help, like, I guess, I don't want to say ignore the situation, but just help you like not think about it as much, kind of devoting your energy elsewhere or, focusing on yourself and things like that. But I mean, there's always going to be times where it's like late at night and you're just kind of reminiscing like she was and just kind of grieving the friendship. And I think that's okay. That's like a human reaction to this situation. I don't think anyone's gonna, quote unquote, break up with their best friend and like just brush it off like it was nothing. Like she said, this was like half her life pretty much down the drain, and it sucks, and it's going to suck for a while. I mean, I don't want to say you're never going to get over it, but it's going to be something you think about like constantly for a while until you kind of realize that, I don't want to say there are other people out there, but this isn't the end of the world is what I'm trying to say. That you are going to find better, great people that will appreciate you for who you are, and you won't have to beg for their attention or their friendship. And yeah, so grieve the friendship now, be sad about it. Because, like I said, what was that? The response that I read, it's that missing her just meant she mattered. And that's something beautiful, not something to apologize for. You should never apologize for caring. You did everything that you could. And one day someone's going to appreciate that and reciprocate that feeling. It sucks that this person who was in your life for so long ended up not being that person, but I guarantee you that someone someday is going to reciprocate that feeling. I feel like I need to, like, I'm talking to myself here. but yeah, this is end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know there were some deeper stories we got into today, and hope you guys can somewhat resonate. And honestly, if you guys have any advice on some of these stories, or yeah, if you guys have any like advice on some of these situations that in the stories that I read today, feel free to leave them in the comments. Or if you agree with some of my takes, or if you disagree, let me know. Because like I said, I'm not an expert on pretty much any of these things, but I do like to just kind of think about it and talk it out, because I think that's helpful, because a lot of these things, or not a lot of them, but some of these things, some of these stories are kind of relatable to my life, which is why I end up reading them. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.